Hello and welcome to this week's Productivity Enhancer. Today we're going to run through part 1 of a two-part enhancer all about the SolidWorks Sheet Metal functionality. I've broken it into two parts because SolidWorks actually stuffs a lot of functionality into these sheet metal tools. SolidWorks gives you the ability to design a part with sheet metal from the beginning, or it allows you to convert a part into sheet metal. So right now we're going to create a part knowing that it's going to be designed using sheet metal. Later on we'll design a part and then convert it to sheet metal, but right now we'll walk through all the steps of the regular process. So to create a part with the sheet metal tool, we go up to the base flange tab, and that opens up a sketch just like normal, and we get to choose a plane. We're going to choose the front plane, and then we go to the sketch tools and we can just create a 2D sketch. I'm just going to create this U shape here. We need a center line, because we're going to be mirroring some parts, and then we can add some relations. We want all three of these lines to be symmetrically spaced, and then we can dimension this as such. And we'll also make these two vertical lines equal. Okay, so that's our basic sketch. Once we exit the sketch, it gives us our base flange property manager. And just like creating an extruded boss or base, we can pull it out with the arrow or define these values by hand. So for direction 1, we're going to set this to mid-plane and give it a dimension of 100 millimeters. We have a sheet metal gauges tab here, and if we click use gauge table, then we have a drop-down menu that gives us all of these different tables that are stored in SolidWorks, and they come with SolidWorks 2013. We're not going to work with these right now, but just to show you what they are, I have this folder here. This is what they're linked to. These are all the spreadsheets. And if we just open one up, it gives us just some stock information that SolidWorks will apply to that sheet metal part if we decide to use this specific table. But we're not going to worry about that right now, so we'll just hide this for now. Under sheet metal parameter, we can set the thickness. 3 millimeters is exactly what we want, so we're just going to leave that. We can also reverse the direction so the material goes inside of the sketch, but we don't want to do that right now. And the bend radius is going to be 1 millimeter. That's going to be the stock default radius. We're not going to mess with that at all for this part. Once again, in bend allowance, we have these tables here, and they can be found by browsing to that folder, but once again, they're right here, and you saw exactly what they look like before. We can also change our relief. We can change it to a tier or oblong shape, but we're just going to leave it at rectangle for now, and clear the use relief ratio. That way we can set our relief width and depth to whatever we want. We'll leave it at 0.1 millimeters and accept it. So, once that part is created, in our Feature Manager design tree, we have sheet metal that shows up. We also have base flange 1, which contains that sketch, as well as the bends. So you see bend 1, bend 2. Another thing to take note of right here, this flat pattern, you can see that it's grayed out. That means that it's suppressed. If we expand it and unsuppress that flat pattern, it'll flatten out this model. And that shows us exactly what this sheet metal piece looks like before it was bent. So these lines represent the bends. Pretty straightforward. We're just going to go ahead and resuppress that and keep working. So next we need a notch, and that's going to be right here. We're going to make it a hexagonal notch. So we're just going to open up a sketch right on that face and choose the normal view and grab our polygon tool. We're going to line it up with the origin and make sure that it's coincident with that bottom line, and then drag it out. And we can add some relations here. Let's make sure that this line and this line are parallel, and accept. So now we can go and just cut it out with an extruded cut through all, accept. And there we have that cut ready to go. So next we need to add a mitered flange. So under our sheet metal tab, we go up to miter flange, and we want that flange to be coming off of this edge here. So let's choose somewhere towards the top, and that replaces an origin right here and creates a plane. It also opens up a sketch, as you can see if we go into sketch. And to sketch out this flange, we're going to go to bottom view and zoom in right here and just draw a line out from the origin. Grab our tangent arc tool, grab our line tool, and make sure that that line is tangent with the tangent arc. Now we can dimension these lines here. Why don't we make this 15, give this arc a radius of 10, make this line here 15 as well. And then make it, let's see, how about 10 millimeters from that line there. Okay, once those dimensions are all set, we can go out to isometric view. And when we exit the sketch, we're given that flange. If you notice, we have a little propagate button here. And by propagating, if we press that, it'll propagate that mitered flange onto the next edge. So with one click, we've created not just one flange, but two flanges. In this mitered flange property manager, we can either have the material inside, which makes the outside edge of this flange coincident with the outside edge of the rest of the part. We can have the material outside, or we can have the bend outside. We're just going to have the material outside, and by doing that, it'll make the inside edge of this flange coincident with the outside edge of the part. We can change our gap distance, and that'll be the gap distance between here. And if we wanted to change that to 1.25, you'll see that gap distance widen. But we want to leave it right at 0 with no offsets, and we can go ahead and accept that, and we have a flange. Next, we can mirror that flange onto this side by going to our Features and Mirror tool, and we're going to mirror it right on this face here. The bodies to mirror are obviously going to be that miter flange, and we leave all of our options selected as is. They're going to merge the solids. We're not going to knit surfaces. We're going to propagate the visual properties with a full preview, accept it, and when we cruise around, you can see that that flange has been mirrored on this side. So that's the end of part 1. As you can see, the sheet metal toolbar offers you a whole new set of tools, and there's obviously a learning curve there. However, catch us next time as we pick it up with edge flanges, adding tabs, corner treatments, and converting solid bodies into sheet metal. Thanks for watching part 1 of this weekly productivity enhancer. Until next time.